I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and what a delight to have with us today Bryan Crabtree. He's a publisher of Talk40.com. He's also a contributor to townhall.com, clashdaily.com, and dailycaller.com. I'm not sure when he sleeps, but we'll find out. Hi, Bryan. Good to see you.
Good to be here. I don't sleep enough lately. I can't wait for this election to be over. I hate to admit.
I know, 5 days. We all got to take a deep breath and see if we can get through this. Well, what do you think of it so far? Have you ever seen anything like this?
I haven't. It's not even in the history books to read about. This is unprecedented. This will be the election of 1824, if I've got my date right, where you had John Quincy Adams. That's kind of the last big ruckus we had as an election that's at this level, and it basically created the modern-day Democrat and Republican Party. What comes of this, no one knows. There's a lot of conjecture. But I'll tell you this. I think if, given the latest with the FBI and the investigation into Hillary Clinton, if a major bombshell doesn't drop on Friday about Donald Trump, we'll be saying President Trump next Wednesday.
All right. And he's kind of pre-warned everybody in some of his speeches that something will come out, only it's because it's a Democratic playbook. But
right.
The polls, I mean, this guy's picked up 11 points in like 2 days. What's happening? What do you think?
Well, I think it's really coming down. If you look, Gary Johnson, who's been in the 7 to 11% range for most of the general election, Gary Johnson's down in many of these polls from 4 to 5%. And I think people are realizing that their protest polling, if you will, answering the polls by saying, I'm going third party, isn't working. There's nothing there. And so what they're basically making a choice between is, as I've heard Newt Gingrich put it, make America great again or make America Venezuela. I think that's the best way to put this thing. Hillary Clinton is like third world mentality, and Donald Trump is capitalist, individualist, American mentality. He's got rough edges. I get that. But a lot of people are choosing an American president versus what Hillary becomes. We don't really know. We know it won't be good. And so I think people are really getting down and thinking about the words President Clinton or President Trump, and maybe they don't like either. But at least President Trump has some hope to it.
If Clinton was to win, how could she possibly govern with all this stuff hanging over her head? Now, the FBI has announced 5 people going into the foundation investigation. I mean, this thing is never ending.
Well, I used to say this, if Clinton was elected, she'd be as bad as Obama, and maybe a chance she'd be a little better. Now, I think, given the investigation and what we've learned just from WikiLeaks, let alone what we think might be on Anthony Weiner's laptop that the FBI is reviewing, I think Hillary Clinton would be worse than Obama, and maybe in a big fashion, because she would put us into a constitutional crisis where Republicans and Democrats would be even more partisan in Congress, and they would go from getting nothing done to doing damage beyond our wildest dreams. And I don't think that that's being radical. I think that's the reality of what we're staring at, and that's why people are migrating away from Hillary Clinton.
Bryan, there's another level to this that's, quite frankly, from my opinion, a little on the scary side. As these WikiLeaks begin to continue to drop, and now we got the email FBI scandal reopened, they got an announcement now they're going after a full investigation of the Clinton Foundation. This thing has the possibility of showing corruption at the highest level of our government with espionage and payoffs and everything else involved. I mean, this thing could be huge. Do you think so?
Yeah, 2 months ago, I would have told you Clinton's not going to get prosecuted under these circumstances because somehow brilliantly they were able to get rid of all of the emails. And as far as they know, they did. The thing that your viewers should understand here is the mistake was by Huma Abedin. She went to Anthony Weiner's laptop as a home-based backup of a smartphone, did not realize somewhere along the way it defaulted or she checked accidentally the box that backed everything up to Anthony Weiner's computer. Now, think about this. They had a meeting in March of 2015. Clinton Camp, and I'm sure Huma Abedin was involved. 2 days prior, to Congressman Trey Gowdy issuing a subpoena for preservation of records. They knew it was coming, and they started working on the bleach bit game at that point. Huma probably went through the deletion process as well, but did not realize what she bleach bitted, if you will, was still sitting on Anthony Weiner's laptop, and that is what they have in their possession at the FBI, and that is probably going to show quid pro quo in a way that we've only suggested now we can prove. I think Hillary Clinton could, in fact, go to jail.
You know what's so interesting about this is that no Republican or media source can take credit for what's happened now. This came out of Anthony Weiner's computer. I mean, how odd is that?
Well, it's, you know, I shouldn't say this, but I've said it on my radio show. It's a Weiner that's now going to bring down the Clintons, or better yet, a Carlos Danger, if you remember his fake name he used. And that's kind of representative of what people should be looking to on this. These are the kind of people that band together. Birds of a feather flock together, my mom always said, and she was right. Those are the kind of people that are band together here. And at some point, they're bound to slip up. You can't lie infinitum and continue to get away with it.
If there's a President Trump, does he just, he's going to have to be faced with a new attorney general, which is going to pick up this case and carry through with it, or the cases, there's plural here. What does he do? Just let a new attorney general, he say to the new attorney general, listen, take care of this, I got a country to run? What's he do?
Yeah, I think that would be, he would be wise to stay out of it, because that way you don't really want the president of the United States, after you have a sitting attorney general, directing the AG on what they should or shouldn't be doing. They should be a steward of the law at minimum to get that position and be cleared by Congress. And once they're in the position, we should entrust them to figure out what the facts are and prosecute it accordingly, so that we don't use the politics of the presidency, the attorney general, any more than we have to. I think you may find some complicity here by Loretta Lynch, specific to whatever happened on that airplane in Arizona on the tarmac for 38 minutes with Bill Clinton. And I think you got a man in Comey who is not real happy about this. I've heard he's a man that gets down on his knees and prays in the morning. He's a man that's had people give him funny looks walking down the hall, and there's been a bit of anarchy in the FBI. I've always maintained that Comey seemed to me to be a principled man, and I think that's why he did what they forced him to do in July, which is not carry the case forward, but then at the same time add the opinion, which was unprecedented for an FBI director, that she was reckless and, in essence, incompetent. That showed right there that there was some sort of a tug of war going on here. And I think once new information came to light, and because of the tarmac incident with Loretta Lynch, our attorney general, and the fact she recused herself by default, it left Comey in charge, new information, and now he's going to go back and attempt, I say attempt, to do the right thing, which is what he probably wanted to do in the first place.
It's a great explanation, because I always thought it was a combination of a potential mutinous going on within the camps. I understand now maybe his wife put some pressure on him, and his own moral character probably thought, you know what, I'm going down the wrong road here. I got to reset this thing. I don't know what happens now, but for 650,000 emails, that's the mother lode, isn't it?
Yeah, it's and I don't think we're going to hear anything before the election. It's funny to me that all of these Democrats are coming out and saying, well, we need that he needs to speak, he needs to talk. But the longstanding policy of the government, especially in law enforcement investigations, and until they collect the evidence and know exactly what they're dealing with, they don't say a word. But yet, because this situation is about politics, they want to break that longstanding tradition. It's so much hypocrisy in this. 650,000 emails. I'd suggest there's going to be thousands of them that are going to be new to the FBI.
Wow. Do you think that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, Brian, as we know it, are now done?
It may be, because we have a civil war going on in the Republican Party. Let's face it, there's 30 or 40% of the people that are going to vote for conservative values and for the Supreme Court justice who can't stand Trump, in my opinion. That's not a scientific poll. And then the Democrat Party, it's clearly broken. They are the biggest bunch of cheaters I've ever seen on whether it be politics or business or family or life. They cheat at every regard. That system is so rigged, I can't believe the voters would tolerate that. And I think that's going to I think that's going to manifest into turnout problems come November 8th. And we are already seeing it in the African-American vote. They are not very excited about showing up, and by the early voting, they're not. President Obama's out on urban radio stations trying to tell them, Barack said vote, please go out and vote. Michelle and I say vote, because if you don't vote and Trump gets in here, he's going to undo everything I did in 2 weeks. Well, that's because everything he did was an executive action. And I think as I talk to black people and have serious conversations, they get it. They get it that he didn't do what he signed up to do. They're not happy with him as much as he thinks they are. And they're certainly not happy with Hillary Clinton, who they call a liar even more so than those of us that are on the right.
The media is pulling 6% approval rating. What happens to the media after this election?
I think a lot of people are going to find themselves with a complete lack of credibility and a massive ratings issue, especially the big mainstream media outlets. Subscriptions are problems. We had a newspaper we learned about this morning in Florida that apologized for being biased in their reporting. They still don't endorse Trump, but they are admitting that they didn't cover Hillary's illicit behavior enough. And I think they're doing that to try to save face now because they're probably losing what little readership they had left.
Interesting. Hey, you're great. Let's connect more often, okay?
Anytime. It's a pleasure.
Okay, and let me say to our viewers and listeners, you can go to thebryancrabtreeshow.com. That's his website, thebryancrabtreeshow.com. God bless you, my friend. Let's hook up again soon.
God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back.